Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, or good morning, wherever you may be. It's Tom Sidney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from the Tom Numbers Show from Sight Club, and also my new show on Locals, which is News with Tom Numbers. And I've got Scott McKay in the house. Scott, how are you, mate? I'm wearing a. I was like, well, I'm doing a show with Scott, so I've got to get my. So I've got my one and only kind of leather strap.
Attaboy.
Got that one. And I've
I love
also
it.
got this as well, buddy. I've mentioned this to you, but I'll show it to you. So this is a cold
Holy crap.
laser wristwatch. Yeah.
Looks like a
And
weapon to me. Looks like a countdown that's going to blow your arm off.
well, no, thankfully not. But it's basically it's a cold laser, and it cleans your blood. So you just put it on the inside of your arm. And I've been using it for a while, so I just feel kind of just nice and all right on it. I've noticed probably vascular system is better. Yeah, it's a good thing. And I did a show with John White, from the inventor of it, and so I know you're into a lot of good technology for healing. So he's come up with a new product. He's done scalar machines, Rife machines, and he's got a new product which is a mat. You basically lay on it, and it puts a certain healing pulse through. So anyway, I'm going to be testing that out. But if it's something of interest to you, I can hook you up with it, and I'll send you one out and just see how you get on with it. So, but it's a great. Well, his stuff is really good. I guess for me, the tell with this is I like to put it on 2 or 3 times a day, just because I know it makes me feel good. So
Yeah.
I don't have to think about it. I'm just like, oh, where is it? I'll put it on. It's kind of that. So my body's telling me, yeah, this is a good thing. I'm not like running around dancing off the walls with it, but I feel good on it. So that's good enough for me. So
Yeah,
how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. So the best thing about that is that I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago here in Dallas. I went to a black tie event on a Friday night with Dr. Sandra Rose Michael. That's the creator of the EE bioscalar system. And there was probably 8 or 9 other system owners in that crowd of, I think, 2,000. They had a 500 person dinner that night. And what's like with your technology, the interesting thing is these people are bringing out these technologies today. Some were large systems units, things like that. Some were, portables like you have. And the exciting thing about it is that these people are putting investments into this type of technology for centers and whatever. And, that tells you that we are now moving into this space where people are coming forward with, God-based healing technologies, the natural scalar energy of the universe. And
Yeah.
it's exciting to see that because they know the world's ready for it. We've penetrated this big machine that has dominated healing and and I've said it's we the people who are going to put an end to that. And again, I have a certain love for trauma centers, trauma orthopedic surgeons, trauma doctors, trauma nurses, with my experiences in these catastrophic incidents. But and I have mad respect and love for these people in those type of medical facilities outside of the overreach of big pharma on the drug side and other things. That's what needs to be addressed. But this is pretty cool to see you wearing a technology like this, because it's showing you and the world that it's time. People are ready to get back to what the Garden of Eden was supposed to be on many realms, many layers. It's exciting to see it.
Oh yeah, buddy. It's like you say, penetrating the consciousness, so people are ready for it now. They're ready, and it's a good thing. And yeah. So what's been happening, man? It's been a while since we've done a show. I was going to say as well, just before we get into the meat of it, you know this, but just a reminder for my audience, and if people pick it up on Scott's show, we're over here in England. Scott has followers here as well, but we're going to be doing a show, my first live show here in the UK in Bournemouth on Monday 29th, which is a bank holiday. So it's 10 days away. So it's 10 days time, actually 11 days, I should say, 11 days time, if you include today. and it's on JFK's birthday. So it's Monday 29th. It kind of came to me. I was like, I knew the numbers. I had a few numbers on it, and it came to me. And it came to me a couple of times. I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And I was really able to get a brilliant venue very quickly. And I just announced it with 17 days to go. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And we've got people buying tickets. They're coming. We've got people flying in from Ireland. People are coming in from Holland, from the Netherlands, and other parts of the UK. So if you want to come and get on board, and I think as well, because obviously we have a global audience, both of us and us truthers. If people are in the States or other places, they can't make it. I have been thinking about it, and someone asked me for it yesterday. I think we're going to do like a little pay-per-view as well. So we'll film the event live. So if you can't physically get there and be part of the audience, then we'll do it so people can tune in. And also, I'm going to announce it now. So if you're still in agreement, Scott's agreed to do he's going to come on and he's going to be part of the show. He'll still be in the US, but we're going to set up a live link, and I'll get to interview him on stage with it all set up. And 107's agreed to do it as well. We just need to get the timing and confirmation with one. So both Scott and 107 are going to be part of the Tom Numbers Show live. And they will be live, but they'll be their digital physical avatar will be over on the other side of the world in America. But they will be live in the room with us. And we might get one or two others as well like that. But as we get those confirmed, we'll bring those in. So thanks for being part of it, Scott.
Well, I'm happy to. I was hoping maybe you're going to say you got your Tom Numbers hologram technology set up so I could just walk out on the stage to Thunderstruck, rocking the house, man, getting people revved up.
Do like Elvis in Blade Runner 2, Blade Runner 2049. Yeah, we could do the Elvis hologram. Yeah. Maybe we can do that for the future.
I think we got a hologram of the bus rolling up to the building too. Let's do that.
Okay, there you go. Well, this is an interesting question. So this is coming to me more and more. I think we're in a simulation. That's what it feels like to me. I think even though this is extraordinarily real, and we feel, and that's the thing. I can get the visual part, the feeling, and the emotion. That's I'm like, how do they do that? But I feel, and I might be incorrect, but I'm always just searching for the answers. I feel that we're in some kind of reality, virtual reality simulation matrix, because I see with the numbers, I see with synchronicities, I see with things in my own real life, not just stuff I pick up online, but actually when I'm walking around, I'll be thinking of something, someone walks past and says the same word, and I work out the code on it. I'm like, okay, bingo, I got that. The newspapers do that to me 4 or 5 times a week. It feels to me like we are in some kind of simulation. And just the other night, over here on the coast, I saw a ship. It wasn't a plane and it wasn't a helicopter, but it was a very steady, constant, and it had gravitas. You could feel this thing floating across the sky. And I was like, okay. And I got a video of it. It's on my Telegram. The footage doesn't do it justice, but I'll try to do it as best I can. But it was, and I've had that a few times, but this one was really quite epic. And I was like, I think they're signaling and confirming that we're going to do the event. Because this is the other thing. You might have heard of this. You've got the New Jerusalem, and they call that the Dove ship. So if you do the mothership, the New Jerusalem, that comes to 343, which comes to President John Fitzgerald Kennedy. And I don't think it's a coincidence that this ship was going across and it was heading literally in the direction of where we're going to have the event. So I saw it flew over my head, and then I followed it all the way down the length of the beach, a few miles down, right into the center of Bournemouth. And I was like, okay, if that's you, sir, thank you for the confirmation. But that's what it felt like. And the numbers confirm it. And we're doing the event on his birthday. And the other thing is, he will be 106. He would have been 106 or is 106 years old on that day. 106 is red pilling. And I'm like, okay, keep bringing in the red pills, keep bringing them in. So that's what it feels like to me, Scott, that we're in a simulation.
You know, most people, first of all, what you do is fascinating. It fascinates me, not just how quickly you can assimilate, do the math, and tie these things together. And for someone like me who's not, studied or well-versed in gematria, and I listen to it, I think some people take it for granted to how all these vectors are moving toward the same space and point in time and converging. And this in the back channel information, like how many coincidences before it becomes mathematically impossible. And that seems to be what you're able to do with these, situations, events, numbers, language, whatever. But, there's there's really crazy shit happening right now everywhere, all over the
Mhm.
world, in our own personal lives. I mean, I'll be addressing one of these things in a coming week, I believe, but there are things that are happening that or don't make sense or baffling. And I know in my own case, I step back for a minute and think, okay, outside of normal reactions, let's look at the whole picture. What's really going on here? Because as you say, we could be in a simulation. Matrix did more for this an understanding of this movement, this great awakening, than I think any influence we've ever had in our lives, because Matrix was conceptualizing this possible reality of people being plugged into a machine, right? And
Mhm.
that machine, everybody is in this machine. We're in these pods like amniotic fluid as adults, plugged into the machine, and it's feeding us and it's growing us and harvesting our energy to power the machine itself, which we
Mhm.
see on the visual depiction of the movie that the Wachowski brothers, or I guess I should say the Wachowski sisters now.
Have you interviewed them before?
No, I'd love to though. I should try to reach out somehow. Getting out, now that you say that, I'm going to reach out to some of my contacts in Hollywood and see if there's any way I could interview these girls. I don't want to say guys, but they obviously transition together. It's the strangest thing. But look, I'm open. I'm open to anything and anybody, whatever decisions they make, unless they
Exactly.
become offensive and they're walking into schools and doing terrible shit that I think is inappropriate for young, undeveloped adolescent minds and
Yeah.
psychologies. But Matrix, in and of itself, projects into our consciousness a possible reality of what we're in right now. And
Mhm.
say timelines, I'm still trying to grasp how we can change a timeline. And let's just put this out there. They say multiple timelines and activities, events, unfoldings in our lives happen simultaneously all at the same time. It's kind of like, is the earth round? Is it flat? Is there a firmament? Are there planets out there and the sun
Mhm.
in space? Is there not space? There's layers of firmaments and we ascend through them. You know what? I don't really care what it is, how it looks, how you draw it on paper. I really don't give a shit about stuff like that. People get in this back and forth, back and forth. How do we know that the earth isn't both round and flat? Scott, how can it be at the same time? Because you have a bunch of people who consciously believe that they are on a flat earth with firmaments, and
Mhm.
who's to say that in the experience of everything they experience in their reality, it comes at them exactly as if the earth is flat. And then you have those who believe, like me, from the I believe it because it's the information I've been given.
Yeah.
Validate any of it, nor can the other side. Um, but I shouldn't say that they'll get upset with me because there's things that they can draw parallels to prove that, that theory or whatever. Again, I don't really care what it is, but in my mind, I see it as I see it. What we've been taught as this globe, right? This
Mhm.
sphere spinning in space, etc. Now, because I believe that, everything that comes at me in my conscious thought, by sound, by visual, information coming in, everything unfolds in front of me as if we are in that type of reality. So therefore, if that's how it really is, how can you say one's right, one's wrong? Maybe the Almighty's power, God's power, Source's power is that because we are creators, just like our Creator, we create that manifestate or we manifest that reality by what we think about, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
I
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. And so
Do
I
you go
have
to heaven or hell? Do you go to limbo? Do you go somewhere else? Just take your pick. You choose it. You create it. Yeah.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not studied on this at all. I mean, I haven't done any scientific research to formulate this hypothesis. It just comes to me, it just came to me like, well, maybe it's this. And as I talk and I thought that through in the past, is that a higher, resonant frequency, a consciousness, my higher self bringing this information to me of truth? I'm
Mm.
like, well, hey, trust me, a lot of things that I put out, I assure my audience, I'm telling you, I don't care what you think. I can tell you what I know. I am not smart enough to come up with shit like this. I'm not. But when
Mm.
it comes to me, I'm like, that's kind of a profound thought. I'm like, all right, where'd that come from? Sure as hell isn't me. But that's how our universe communicates with us. And I
Mhm.
believe that in these timelines that we are on, some people see the world completely differently, in their own so maybe we're in this, I don't know what you call it, this hall of mirrors, really, and of course of what we believe and what we take in and how we manifest it. That's really all things are true at the same time, right? That's just kind of,
Mhm.
I believe our creator is so great that you can also say that. How do you know both aren't true together simultaneously at the same time? So I'm trying to get a handle on it myself, my friend.
Yeah, timelines is timeline. Time is 47 John, and line is 40, which is US, but timeline is 87, which is truth. And so maybe truth can even change as timelines change. Um, and the Kennedy analogy, you mentioned the word singularity. Singularity is 155, which is also the millennium. It's also coronavirus. And I think because there's always double meanings on both sides. And so when they brought that in, they were saying the millennium singularity. Some people say, oh, there's only one singularity. I think there's a good singularity as well. But if you do close encounters, that's 188, which is President Kennedy. But if you add those together, singularity plus close encounters, or singularity plus President Kennedy, so 155 plus 188, that comes to 343, which comes to that number I mentioned with the ship. So the New Jerusalem, the mothership, 343, which is President John Fitzgerald Kennedy. So yeah, I do. I think it is. It's like maybe that's what the real answer is. It's like, you know what, you can create anything you want, and once you understand you're manifesting it, then you would be more direct and deliberate in your conscious creation, and you could have anything you want. That's what it feels like to me. I haven't worked it out completely, but it feels pushing in that direction. It's like, well, if God is a loving God, which I believe he or she or we or is, then there's a purpose to all this craziness. There's a purpose to, there's a reason for it. And I think and hope that the ultimate is when we have the great awakening ourselves, you can create and manifest anything that your heart desires, and you'll be able to do it instantly. That's, I hope, where we're going to. Because we see spasms of it, we see pockets of it, we see little tiny bits of it, fractals of it as we're going through life, and then all this other kind of clunkiness happens in between. But I think when if this is the Great Awakening, what is the Great Awakening? Well, there's no limit to the Great Awakening, so it's the ultimate. And what would be the ultimate? To be able to create like a God, remember that you're a God, and create worlds without end, and do likewise and populate and give the others, your offspring, the same chance to experience that. That's what I feel. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it doesn't matter. But that's what I'm feeling.
I don't think so. I don't think you're crazy. I think it does matter. Look, the construct of our lives, first of all, if you believe in a higher power, if you believe in our creator, the Almighty, if you believe in the concept of love, the fact that we can feel it for another human being, and more so and never more powerful than your own child, as I've been told by everybody I know that has children, the power of love and what it can do, how it can literally move universes. Just the concept, the feeling, the draw, the energy force behind the love itself, that if that is a creation of what we are from and what we are about, then you know that our creator is far more complex than simplistic as this reality we've been in. And I've said this before, I've said it numerous times, the religious order is controlled by the Luciferians. Now, these are my own speculations and hypothesis. It's my belief. It doesn't mean it's true and other people believe it. But I have to use logic and reasoning to look at how our world is, how it operates, the massive amount of death, murder by governments around the world, the big pharma machine, the starvation, people literally starving to death in nations with vast resources and wealth under, all of this entire nightmare and the sadness and sorrow and poverty, that's what our creator intended. So we fucked this up ourselves this badly. When I'm told I was born a sinner and I believed that all my life, and I have this self-image that is lower than it should, and I'm like, hold on, stop, cut bullshit. My
Time
creator,
out. Stop the bike. Stop the bike. Time out. Yeah.
my creator is all perfect, powerful, knowing, and loving, is not going to create an abnormality of a sinner. They tell us that you're a sinner by birth. I became a born again Christian at 14 years old, right? I studied that book as long as most people do and become born again Christians, 20 years, 300 days a year. At some point, you got to say, cut the bullshit, because this is what causes a psychological destruction to where we can't figure out who we really are. And in my belief and my opinion is, these are manipulations that have been part of the Khazarian agenda forever. And now we have these governments enacting policies that are destructive to human life on all levels. Therefore, you have to say to yourself, we didn't create, we're good people. You know, we talk about peoples around the world warring, Christians against Muslims, against Judaics, against Hindus, against whatever. You put these people together, they go visit each other in other countries. They're so excited to be around those cultures and those people and religions. They ask questions like, tell me about how do you guys come to believe this? Why do you eat this kind of food? It's an amazing experience. And you find out everybody really is excited to be around each other. No problem with each other, races, whatever. Who has the problems? The people that are in the positions of power running nations and pumping this shit into our heads through the media and make us believe that they're bad. Why? They don't want us to discover how beautiful other cultures and religions are, right? And if we had that unbridled access to interact with people like this, we would all see, hey, there's something wrong here. There's nothing wrong with us. It's the people in power. How did it get to be this way? Now that people, Tom, are waking up to this possibility and now probability, they're realizing something's not right here. This is never the way it was supposed to be. We find out the Vatican's got a tunnel from the Vatican to Jerusalem, 1,500 miles long. And the first 150 miles is filled with solid gold bullion, 60 meters wide, 40 meters high. Oh, so they're all about helping people. And we got people starving around the world, untold wealth under the Vatican. Yet people are dying of starvation, disease. Something isn't right here. And now that this discovery is happening all over the world by the alliance powers, little by little under the radar, deconstructing this machine, people are going to be forced to start thinking about what their life is about. And we've talked about this. People have to become the change in the world that they want to see. Everybody wants a better world. Nobody wants to change. Everybody wants a better world, but in their daily life, they don't want to change anything. They see a homeless person on the street. They just step over them, or they say something to them. A homeless person says something to another person. They just ignore them, like, leave me alone. And that's generally speaking, not me. I like to learn about people. And when I have someone approach me on the street, I ask them, how did you get here? How did you end up on the street? Why? Because I give a shit, because I want to know their story. And I want the opportunity to say, you know what? This isn't your fault. This whole matrix, and I tell them, they think I'm crazy, but I want to plant a seed. This whole matrix that we all live in, it's what put you here by design. Whatever happened in your life, it isn't your fault. The machine they built for us to live in ensured that people like you would end up in the street. Why? Because they want it that way. They want it that way. And I plant those seeds and I tell them, but I want you to understand something. Don't think this is your life for the rest of your life, because in the coming years in the future, your life is going to become immeasurably better. I know that means nothing to you right now, but just remember, this crazy guy with the backwards ball cap on that talked to you this day here in the street in Dallas, remember I said this, because when it's happening, you're going to say, holy crap, it's really true, right? There's amazing things that are going to come at us in the world, but it'll speed up, and it's going to happen much faster if people start being the change that they want to see in the world. In our community, the podcast community, I think it's I think it is an abomination how podcasters are attacking each other. He doesn't know
I
what he's
know.
talking. Don't listen to them. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
are you guys insane? We have a chance to come together and unite and unify and help overcome their satanic Luciferian forces of influence, us coming to the rescue. But you guys want to fight each other and say things about each other. This guy wants more of the spotlight. And I just
Mm.
think to myself, what's it going to take to unify and unite us who people are now listening to us? Why can't we just have a coherent, unified, I don't want to say message because that's control of the message, but a unified intention? I say to folks all the time, this guy over here, they have say something about somebody online. I'm like, hey, look, they're doing the best they can with the tools and the knowledge they have. What's wrong with that? They're doing the best they can with the tools and the knowledge that they have. They're helping humanity. Now, there are those out there that they're not about helping humanity. We know that's out there. But at some point, people have to start thinking about if they want this show to transition into our Garden of Eden, which we are going to construct, we have to be the change in the world we want to see. Nobody has to teach me to be kind to every single human being I run into, every human being. Nobody teaches me that. It's what I automatically do with every human being I come in contact with. Ask me why I do it. I have no idea. It's part of my genetic makeup. I just know when I walk away, I want that human being to feel a light bulb come on inside him because I made him feel that way. Right. Anyways, we determine this ourselves, Tom. We determine what comes at us and how this shift in the world happens and how fast it happens. It's always been we, the people. It isn't we, the Trump. It isn't we, the military. It isn't we, the hidden forces. They're there. They're doing their job. But without a transition of humanity, none of this is going to come at us. It just isn't.
Yeah, we should. I agree about the stuff in the community. I mean, we could. I mean, we help each other, but we really could really help each other way more, and we would exponentially grow because, like you said, people are paying attention to us now.
Mhm.
But if there's divisions in the camp, and I think there might be some that infiltrate and do the other things, but when you figure that out, you just move on. But you don't need to create a hornet's nest about stuff. You just need to move together and support each other. And I agree that's what should be happening. And it does happen, but I think all of us could probably help each other more, because we're in this system and we need everybody. We need all the fans, all the followers, all the people that don't even know who we are right now. There'll be new people coming to the table. We just need it. And that's why I think that phrase, where we go one, we go all, is so correct. And we the people, we need everyone. We need everyone on board. You talked about the power of love. So I did the numbers on that. And that is a great track from Huey Lewis and the News in Back to the Future, Power of Love. But I think I've quoted the song. That's what they're singing about, but I think that's the title of it. But the Power of Love is very interesting. It's 185. 185 is Book of Revelation. 185 is also Donald John Trump. So the power of love. So he's, this figurehead to give that example for, he's this, the tip of the arrow to push forward. And there's lots of things that go on and around the scenes and all the rest of it. But ultimately, I don't think it's a coincidence that those numbers, the power of love, which you mentioned, 185, comes to Donald John Trump, which comes to Book of Revelation. And I do believe we're in these times. We're in this time of transition, this time of the end game. I was talking to a friend of mine last night, Ricky Lambert. He's another soccer player. So you remember Matt Letitia, the show we did with him a couple of years ago. So Ricky's another guy, played at the top level, played for England, played for Liverpool. Everyone's heard of Liverpool. He played for Southampton, the same team as Matt. They're really good friends, but their careers didn't overlap. Matt retired before Ricky and him could have played in the same team, but they're good buddies. And Ricky's I'll put this out now. I'm not penning to it yet, but he's looking to come to the event as well. So once that's confirmed, so people listening, if you're a Southampton fan or a footy fan, a Liverpool fan, England fan, Ricky Lambert may be gracing us with his presence, and he's a top guy. He's a really good guy. So we were having a chat about all the simulation, what space stuff, what's going on in the world, all these kinds of things, Christianity, everything. And what, I've lost my train of thought now. What was I saying just before that?
We were talking about the power. Oh, here, I'll remind you what we were talking about. Hold on one sec.
A new product with a tight.
Got to get this up. I tried to do a Tom Numbers here, be like really smooth and fast, but I'm not like that.
Are you playing back what I just said?
Can you hear that?
No.
No.
Can't hear it, buddy.
Son of a gun. I wonder why.
I don't
Hold
know.
on. Hey, don't go away.
Okay.
I gotta pull a Tom Numbers here. Let me do this really quickly. Shit, I'm thinking, hey,
But it will come back to me. But so I was talking about the power of love, and then I started talking about Ricky.
Don't go away. I'm trying to add a little pizzazz to the show here, which never happens to me. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it. If it comes in cross here. Okay, here's what I was trying to do. I have to do this from my phone now because it makes sense why I'll be able to hear it. Hold on.
What was I talking about?
I can sit here and do numbers really fast, and I'm like,
But Ricky Lambert, while we're looking at one, Scott, I can't remember what it was on the train of thought I was going along. But Ricky Lambert's 126, 107. John Connor from the Terminator films. This is interesting. So I won't say it, but the famous person on the news that you've had a conversation with, a lady with kind of a flat top hairstyle. In Terminator 2, there's a chick in the psychic hospital, the psychiatric hospital, and she kind of looks a little bit like her. And when you told me, I was like, there you go. And yeah, so when Schwarzenegger comes in, she's one of the ones that tries to wrestle him. But she's got the flat top and the kind of look. And anyway, so people might read between the lines and know what I'm on about, but I thought that was funny. And the other thing, Terminator is 133, which is simulation. So I think that's why that film is named in such a way that it is, because it's a magical film and there's lots of Q codes in there, but it is ultimately 133 Terminator, which is simulation. And I think there's a throwback to what's happened to you in the last few weeks. So the chick with the flat top, we'll leave it at that. So
Yeah.
But do you know the bit in the film I'm on about?
What's that?
Do you know? Can you recall the bit in the film that I'm on about? I have to send it to you. If not.
Yes, I've seen the film so many times. I was a huge.
Yeah, you know the one that goes, "Don't get him, Connor." But it's got the flat top. Like, that looks quite like the chick that tried to, So yeah.
That's funny. Well, the coming weeks will be quite a bit different than the prior weeks, believe me.
Yeah. So don't get him. Don't go. What did she say? She goes, "Don't get him, Connor." Something like that. It's like the deep voice and the flat top. So it's like, okay, yeah.
Well, we were talking about the power of love. That's what our main.
Yeah, the power of love. Yeah, 185.
I was trying to pull up Huey Lewis in the news.
Huey Lewis. There you go.
That's what I was pulling up. Could you not hear that through the microphone when I held it up? That's what it was.
And they've got that bit in the first Back to the Future film when Huey Lewis he's there with Marty McFly, like saying, "No, kid, you're not good enough." But they behind it, the school prom thing, like the kind of tryouts for it, they've got We the People just behind, Marty McFly. So
yeah,
it's interesting. Yeah.
So what do you see? What do you see now that all this crazy shit is happening everywhere? What do you see in the coming, I don't want to say coming months or year or years? What do you see in this evolution of this massive shift taking place on the planet? What do you see the biggest changes coming in front of us right now?
I mean, I hope we'll get full disclosure at some point. And it'll probably be bits upon, line upon line, precept upon precept. But I think there will be some eye-catching things because, I mean, the events of 2020 caught everybody, whether they open them up, open their eyes or not, but you couldn't ignore what happened then. So I feel there has to be something even more magnificent in a reversal type of way that will be coming to us. And I also think I mean, there's talk of 2023. So our buddy Derek Johnson talking about the military tribunals in 2023. And I hope that's happening because, I mean, we're only, a month or two away from the summer beginning. And I hope that's the case. Juan has always said that events that change the world happen on a 23. We're going into 2023. The numbers 223. So if you drop the 0, 223 comes to military tribunals. I don't want to kick people off and get them going on this, but even global currency reset comes to 223. Whether it will happen this year, I don't know. But if things don't happen, I was talking to a good friend of mine last night, and she was saying it was the night before. She was saying how maybe, and it just resonated. She said maybe the things that Derek's talking about with the tribunals, maybe that's not 2023 and it just happens in 2024. That wouldn't surprise me. But I have noticed there have been significant things that happen on leap years. So President Trump did a piece maybe 2 months ago, and he talked about a quantum leap. And he talked about the flying cars, Back to the Future flying cars. He was given that he was putting the seed, like you said, plant a seed. He was planting that in the seeds of the people's minds. And he talked about quantum leap. So we have leap years in our calendar. And I know the calendar's probably all screwed up and all the rest of it, but let's just take it. We're in this timeline right now. And in 2012, you had the Olympics. And I remember getting codes back then, not in terms of numbers, but I remember seeing stuff David Icke had been talking about and others. And I could have gone to the London Olympics, but I deliberately stayed away because I felt, and I had kind of a bit of a vision kind of nightmare on it. I don't really get nightmares hardly ever, but something kind of warned me. I was like, don't go to those events in London. Thankfully, nothing happened. I've heard since that people said maybe there was going to be something and then it was stopped. But we have seen since that they did a lot of predictive programming you had Boris Johnson as a big kind of inflatable character at the Olympics. You had these children's beds with the Grim Reaper dancing around all the kids' beds. You had pictures of what looked like a virus, like big inflatable things that looked like viruses in that whole ceremony. So it was a prerequisite for what happened 8 years later. Then you fast forward and you go to 2016. And 2016 was that crazy year where you had all the famous celebrities die. You had David Bowie, you had Prince, you had George Michael, Muhammad Ali, Johan Cruyff, Carrie Fisher, and then her mum dies the next day. And there was a whole host of them. And it seemed disproportionate. I was like, something's going on here. And then you had Leicester City in soccer in England won the Premier League out of nowhere. It was like they were the very lowest team. It was totally impossible for them to win the Premier League, and they won it out of the blue. And then you had also Brexit. So the interesting thing about Brexit, for 3 years in England, we kept hearing Brexit, Brexit, Brexit. And I actually didn't want Brexit to happen because I lived in London at the time and all the cute chicks were all European. Not that the English ones weren't, but, it was like my dating pool. I was like, no, and I was dating a girl. Well, I was seeing a couple of chicks at different times and they were both European. I was like, well, hang on. So I was like that. And I remember one in particular, she got upset. She's like, they don't want us here. So it's all right, darling. It's not, don't, but it affected them. So I didn't want that. But then I realized when we got into 2020 and I saw that you had to break up the European Union, I saw how that was, necessary. But the word Brexit is 78, which is Kennedy. So we heard it every day, plus on the paper news, Brexit, 78, Kennedy. So it was prerequisite. It was getting us ready for what was, coming. And then 4 years later, and President Trump got voted in 2016 as well. So we had all the celebrity deaths, Leicester win the Premier League, you have Brexit, and Trump gets in. So there's a lot of stuff happening. Then we get to 2020, and everybody knows what's happened then with the lockdowns. So I'm feeling that when we get to 2024, I think it will ramp up even bigger than what lockdowns were, what COVID. President Trump said just a week, maybe within the last month, he said 2024 is the final battle. And it makes you think of like the Chronicles of Narnia or something biblical. And I'm like, please, sir, I hope it is. I hope it's the final battle, But he said that it's the final battle. And he also said, I think on another occasion, he said we had to go through these 4 years. Because initially we're thinking, okay, it might just be a few months. But no, he said we needed this 4 year gap. And it also makes me think of Kim Clement with that 4 year prophecy. He said, give us 4 years. And President Trump said, we need these 4 years so people would see, not just tell them, but they needed to be shown. And then he has said, 2024 is the final battle. So I'm taking him at his word on, I always just believe what he says. So I'm like, okay, 2024. And I look at the leaps, boom, boom, boom. And it's like 2012 the Olympics, 2016 with all the celebrity deaths, Brexit, Trump coming in, Leicester winning the Premier League out of the blue. They were like 2,500 to 1 to win it, Scott. That's how it was ridiculous. They should have got relegated, and they should have got booted out of the league, and they did almost get booted out the following year. So they were at the bottom, nearly got relegated. The next year they win the Premier League, beat Man U, Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs, Arsenal, all of them, Man City, and then they nearly get relegated the following year. So it was a total anomaly. And then we hit 2020, which was the biggest thing of all of our lives. So I'm thinking 2024 is the final battle, and I think it will be an order of magnitude on top of what we had in 2020. So what that is and how it comes, the storm, I don't know, but I believe that's what's coming. So hold on to your seats, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, now that you say that, how these incredible changes happened in these years. 2012 is obviously when Romney lost, and you can clearly see an orchestrated, concession.
Okay.
Right, Romney loses the election. Romney comes out I remember sitting here watching this. First of all, no moderate Republican can win a presidency. Just doesn't happen. It's a conservative Republican wins a presidency. That's it. So here comes Romney, a liberal Republican, not even moderate. Behind the scenes, he's really liberal. And so he comes out and he completely demolishes Obama in the first debate, just destroys this guy, disseminating all the information about Obama, the basically not even a criminal activity, but how much of a failure he was in that first term for America. He was very successful for their agenda, but not for the country. And so I thought, holy crap, he's going to defy all of history in Republican presidential politics, and he's going to pull this off. He comes out in the second debate, and I'm watching this, and in 5 minutes, I gave up. I said, he just lost. He just gave away the presidency. And then the third debate was even worse. So
what did he say in that second one? Because I never followed the politics of it really, but I couldn't something energetically about Romney. I was like, you're a slimy bastard. And I felt that way before COVID. I was just like, you are everything you're not saying you are. And I just knew that intrinsically. But what did he say that actually you saw after 5 minutes that got, that showed he wasn't going to get it?
Well, the first debate, he walked out. His posture, his energy projection was nothing but power. I'm taking this guy down. The second debate, I should say, not the first debate, second debate, he came out like somebody just basically took his diapers off and spanked the hell out of him after the first debate. You do that again, we're going to whatever. And he came out like a wet noodle. Obama was opening up doors big enough to drive a tractor trailer through, and he could have demolished him. And he sat back and did nothing. 5 minutes in, I'm like, what the hell happened? And then I sat there and watched this painful thing for the rest. I was like, I was telling my fiance at the time, I said, it's over. This is, and she was like, what do you mean? I said, it's over. What I'm seeing right now, it's over. And then by the third debate, which I think I did watch it, it was even worse. So anyways, here's 2012. That's when I had the National Defense Authorization Act in 2012, where the Republican-controlled House and the Republican-controlled Senate was given the presidency a kill switch on the internet in the declaration of a national emergency, giving the president control over the energy grid and giving the president control of food supply in a national emergency. And I saw this. I'm like, here we have Republicans saying this president is the worst thing that could have happened in the country. And in this act that was passed in both Republican House and the Senate was handed over for this guy to sign. And I said, it is over. They're all in on it. They're all taking the country down. And that's kind of where I wasn't completely checked out. I walked away from politics 6 years before, when I just completely walked away. And gave up my dream bucket list to get to the U.S. Senate one day. Well, it was for 4 years now. I just watched this. And then it was just that one day. And from that day forward, my whole world changed. It's like a massive quantum shift. I was walking by a TV somewhere. I can't even remember where, but I just saw this fanfare flashes. Here comes Trump down the escalator dressed up. Melania, and I'm like, well, I wonder what this is about. I just happened to stop and I'm watching this come down the escalator. And at the bottom of the escalator is this podium. And he starts to talk. And I thought, all these people around him, like, must be announcing for the presidential run. So I'm like, I'm just paying attention like this. Like,
Mm.
and then about 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, I'm like, holy shit. And then when he goes, right back there, they're fake news. When he started out, they're fake news.
Mhm.
My whole core shattered. I was like,
Fake news.
holy shit. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, there he is. There he is. I said for years, there's no Ronald Reagan even on the horizon anywhere. That's why we're in deep shit. There's no Reagan anywhere. And there's Trump. And it's a long aged adage that you never, ever pick a fight with anybody who pours ink by the barrel, which is the media. And he says they're fake news. I was like, holy shit. He's coming right down the tracks with a howitzer firing away at these bastards. And I'm like, I was like, there he is. I never saw him coming. And from that day forward, I was full in. I went to Facebook, Donald Trump laying this out. I was giving long dissertations. This is why this is a land. I get pounded. I was getting pounded for 18 months by my Republican friends, mind you, on Facebook, because they were Ted Cruz fans. And I just kept laying it out. And all the lefties that are attacking me, I'm like, say what you want. I go, and this shit's been in my head for decades. Here's what somebody else might. I just firing away all this information. This is why this guy wins, hands down. It's going to be a demolition, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, what happens. And then the next 4 years, you see all this chaos, this massive attack. Never in U.S. history has any president been so attacked by their opposition party. Never in history has a U.S. presidential candidate been attacked by their own party. Never in U.S. history has a presidential candidate of any party been attacked so viciously by the mainstream media. Never has a U.S. presidential candidate been attacked by the United Nations like this. Never has a U.S. president been attacked by foreign heads of state, a presidential candidate, foreign heads of state like this. Never has a presidential candidate on either party been so attacked by Hollywood. And I see this whole machine that just instantly turned on this guy. People that loved him his whole life go to Academy Awards. They're not trying to get in line faster to get to a table to hopefully get near Donald Trump or to get near what the hell's her name? Meryl Streep, people like that. They give a shit. They're trying to get close to Trump. All of a sudden they all turn on him. And I'm like, some crazy shit is happening in this world. And of course, when that happened and went down and the chaos of burning down cities and all that, this is the most exciting thing I've ever seen, because this was a trigger point in the world to begin taking down, deconstructing this horrific machine that runs the planet and basically murders the planet and its people. And so ever since that time, and then we saw 2020, same thing. What a year. That's when, I started my radio show in January 2020. The first Patriot Street Fighter live stream was November 12th of 2020, right after the election, to explain, here's what's going on. And since that time, when people see these things happening, Tom, they're like, oh my God, it's over. It's horrible. All this shit, all this stuff coming across the board, all this stuff. It's all by design. It's all by design to wake the people the hell up. Because if the people don't wake up and have a transition in their core and their soul, they're going to be left behind. The world cannot change until, like you said, people have to see it and live it and experience it for themselves. And if they can't see it right in front of them, how do you get them to finally see something? Bring them to their knees. Let their machine, let the chaos, the architecture of this Luciferian global agenda run by the Khazarian mobsters all around the world make its final move on humanity to bring us to our knees and wipe most of us out. Until they're on their knees, they're not going to say, holy shit, who did this? Houses are going again, like 08, cars are going again, pension funds are going again. Now you got the Democrats saying, what the hell? Just like COVID. Same thing, the kill shot. Now you have these leftists, these Democrats who've been their brain fogged over. They're seeing what's happening. Now they're like, what the hell is this? Shutting down churches, shutting down schools, shutting down businesses until people are going bankrupt. Guess what happened? They're waking up piece by piece by piece by piece. And there's still this core group of people that no matter what you show them, they will not believe reality. But finally, I've heard this years ago, when the pain of remaining the same exceeds the pain required to change, until then, nobody changes. So that's believe serious pain is coming. And that's what our back channel told us. Now comes the pain. It seems to be the only thing that's going to wake these other people up.
Yeah, it's coming. It's interesting. I was looking at 2024. That's 274 in the numbers, but that comes to quantum leap simulation, 141, 133. So maybe there will be an actual quantum leap. It seems like, or quantum leap simulation, or simulation quantum leap is 2024, 274. And you said a massive attack. Massive is actually 88 Trump, and attack is 56 light. So as he was getting massively attacked, that comes to 144. So massive attack or Trump light, 144. That comes to Digital Soldier, comes to King Solomon, but it also comes to the 144, which a lot of people say is a frequency. You know, the Bible talks about the 144,000, but a lot of people in the movement say that it's a frequency. And if you add them both together, 2024 plus massive attack, that comes to 418, which comes to the Tesla numbers, 369, plus the word yes, 49, or sign, 369 sign. So let's see, man. Let's see. I'm praying and hoping, and in giving attention that we do see the final battle in 2024, because inevitably it's going to have to come to some. Well, you'd hope so. I hope I'm not. I hope I don't have to clip my words, but I feel that it will come to. In this paradigm, this life that we're in, things come in cycles. They come to an end. So hopefully, this season of chaos and tribulation will come to an end, and we'll start something newer and better. I know other people think differently, but as for me and my house, we will look forward to the final battle of 2024, or if not sooner. You know.
Well, like I said earlier, we have to become, the individual has to become, you have to become the change in the world that you want to see. Because when you do it yourself, that resonant frequency that comes off of your aura or whatever that thermomagnetic spiritual energy is, gets cast into the universe around you. It affects people. That frequency hits other people that may not even have that on their radar, and they can't explain it, but they have this different, this shift in their own energy frequency. It's affected by a higher one. It raises the lower, and I'm not saying they're dark energy or lower frequency people. It's just where they are, and something affects them without even knowing it. They start having conscious thoughts of the good side of life, the earth, humanity, the future, whatever. And again, it starts to perpetuate. It starts to expand like a bubble among person to person. That's why one person doesn't believe they can change the world. One person can change the entire planet because they set something in motion that moves across the spans of energy, frequency, light beings. And that frequency just keeps building and building and building. And with this, the goodness of mankind, or I should say humanity, the goodness of humanity on the spiritual side raises the collective consciousness as a whole of the entire human species, spiritual species, and it keeps pushing it upward. It's affecting the frequencies of everything, plant life, the atmosphere. We got the power to deconstruct everything with our conscious thought that they're bringing at us. I don't care if it's chemtrails or poisons in food. You say that's absurd. No, that's what Christ was trying to tell us. That quantum reality is controlled by conscious thinking. Now, I don't have that. At this point, I don't have that power to look at something and render it inert, that's saccharine or something that can cause problems in my brain or whatever, cancer. But that's who we are. And the more that we collectively think about the good side of what's coming, we're going to perpetuate what's good. If we constantly worry, have fear, and think about the bad shit that come at us, what's going to come at us? Exactly that. That's how we create our reality.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. And that's why I think it is vital. And I always tend to try and veer on that, where we just give a positive message of hope and faith to people and reassurance. I'm not one for pain. I mean, I know people get motivated via pain, but you know what? We've been in this, we've had enough of that. So we've got to be those, we've got to give that positive reinforcement and that positive light that people can latch onto and create themselves. And then I believe that's what will do it. That will be the ripple effect. That's when light begats light, it's dark to light, and we turn over all the Othello checkers from dark to light. And then the game's won, then it's done,
Yeah.
And actually talking of Othello, there's 64 squares, it's 8 by 8. So when you turn the whole board over, 8 times 8 is 64, which is movie, which is Tenet, which is Israel. They say Israel will be last. Jubilee is also 64, but 8 is back to Trump, 88, which is massive, 88. So yes, and let's get there. Something's coming. And then this is the other one. So whenever the last battle, I think 2024 to 2028 will be really interesting to see actually what transpires. I feel that we won't be in this phase of it. I'm hopeful of that. But then I think President Trump also has left a clue. He always says the best is yet to come. Mm-hmm. If you do the numbers on that, that comes to 228. The best is yet to come comes to 228, which also comes to the dove is yet to come, because the word best is 46. The word dove is also 46. Interestingly enough, JFK was age 46 in 63. You do 46 plus 63, it comes to 109, comes to the word Zapruder, comes to Diana Spencer, comes to Witness, and it comes to Sight Club. And it also comes to the word 17. But in 2028, the best is yet to come. You drop the 0, 2028, 2028. They also say that Ivanka, the Simpsons say that Ivanka will be president then. So they've got some things right, and maybe that's the case. But I'm hoping the final battle is 2024, and then we have a period of another 4 years of whatever that is, transitioning into more and more awareness, more and more disclosure. And if the best is yet to come, that sounds like the cherry on top. So that's about 5.5 years away. Depending, maybe it's 6.5 years away. I mean, it might come right at the end, or November, December of that year, 2028. I don't know, but.
Well, whether it's at a conclusion or not, unfortunately, our show is, because I got to jump on with Gene Ho here in about 15 minutes. But I'll say this.
Oh yeah, no, let's conclude. Yeah.
What I'll say this is, Thomas. Most people they don't like this space we're in. Concern, fear. Fear will bring itself to you if you carry it around with you everywhere you go. Doubt will, concern will. All those things perpetuate more of the same. If you believe in your creator, the Almighty, you believe in the goodness of everything that was created for a reason that supports the upward movement of the spirit, the light being, the species called humanity, then you have to believe that there's something great coming. And if we have the power, free will, all of it, we can manifest everything that we want to have in a beautiful world. That's why people should not be living in fear every day. I don't. I've taken hits in my life in the last 10 years that I couldn't possibly think I'd survive. Even today, all things work together for good for those that believe. You say, believe what? You fill in the blanks on that. All things work. It's biblical. All things work together for good for those who believe. We think what's bad is bad. I can prove that what's bad that's happened in my life turned out to be the best things that ever happened to me and for me. That the reality is this: you should love to be in this chaotic space, because it's proving that the world is changing. There's a massive shift happening on this globe to and for humanity that has not been possible prior to now. So every day you wake up and you think there's chaos, oh my goodness, say, this is freaking awesome. Why? Because the machine is no longer operating like it used to. Something is happening. And because it isn't working perfectly like it did, then they're in deep shit. We need to keep believing that's coming. And that's what we will bring upon us by our own conscious angelic thought. That's going to be the world we've always wanted. But Tom, listen, it's a pleasure to know you, to watch what you've done in laying out the gematria track for the world. So adds validation. As we know, how many coincidences before it becomes mathematically impossible? You keep proving it over and over with everything that you dissect and lay out. Folks, look at the synchronicities. This is not possible, in the world we live in. So always a pleasure, my friend. I'll look forward to being at your event, zooming in there.
Yeah, we'll get the digital avatar of Scott descending into the room with us. So thanks for that, buddy. I appreciate it.
And this is the first one, but the next event you have, we may have to find a way to just fly in there.
Exactly. We'll parachute you in. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely want to try that. Cool. Anyway, much love to you, brother.
Thanks, buddy. You too. Godspeed.
See you next time. By the way, I talked to Charlie Ward on WhatsApp. He's doing good. He did have a series.
He is. Yes.
But he's doing good. He's doing good.
He is, yeah. Blessings and love to Charlie. I just before we came on the show, I got a text and he said he's just about to see a specialist. So fingers crossed. Hopefully Charlie's will be all right. He's a tough old boot. He'll pull through. So
I see it. All right.
Yeah.
Much love to you, my friend, and we will see you on the big
on the 29th on JFK's birthday.
JFK's birthday, and I will be there.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks,
buddy.
buddy.
That's a wrap. Patriot Street Fighter out.
Take care, man. Cheers. Bye.
See you, bud.